a diamond can be born out of busted coal. There ain't a word that I can find to describe her touch. I can't deny that I would follow her through flame and flood. I got a ticket for a bus leaving New Orleans. I'll say a prayer that every single light turns green. I'll buy a cheap bouquet from the flower shop and hope she waits for me at the final stop. Oh, she will. I'm going back to Indiana now to see my baby in her evening gown. And even if the world is burning down, I'm going back to Indiana now. I've played guitar each night for the finest kind. I've left a whole lot of chance on the road behind. I don't believe in fate, I call it destiny. And if I'm lucky yet, she'll keep a place for me. Oh, she will. I'm going back to Indiana now to see my baby in her evening gown. And even if the world is burning down, I'm going back to Indiana now. I got a photo of her standing near an orange tree. I keep it hidden in my pocket with a rosary. I told the driver of the bus that he had a deal, and by the morning I'll be with her in the golden fields. I'm going back to Indiana now to see my baby in her evening gown. And even if the world is burning down, I'm going back to Indiana. I said I'm going back to Indiana now to see my baby in her evening gown. And even if the world is burning down, I'm going back to Indiana now. I'm going back to Indiana now. I'm going back to
I remember the first time I drove through Indiana, watching fences in the distance fade away. Once there was a girl I knew there, and she was pretty. We kept in touch until we just went our own ways. I remember the first time I drove through Indiana, waving goodbye to the towns that we drove through. Far away I know they're deep inside a city, rushing back and forth, wanting only to get home. Once I was there in a dream, meeting people without names and without faces, they live. I remember the first time I drove through Indiana. I remember the first time I drove through Indiana. I remember the first time I drove through Indiana, watching semis hauling grain remember the first time I drove through Indiana, thinking to myself how big this land really is. Amber waves of grain from a highway. Who lives in that?
And McClellan looks like maybe in lane 5. Daniel's starting to make a little bit of a move from Arkansas as well. 50 to go in this heat. Lane 8 for Arizona.
Well, Daniels had a great 100 breaststroke last night. Top 8 finalist.
Liner.
Well, if the name Lauren Jordan sounds familiar to our Indiana swimming fans, high school state champion here in Indiana, swimming for Carmel High School. Over there in lane 1, kind of her home pool. Again, the fastest time swum so far, 4:43.97 by Nicole Menzel of Arkansas. Beautiful long stroke out there in lane 3, 54 per 100. Second fastest person in the pool is at that outside lane over there. That's Lauren Jordan with a 28.79.
So the sophomore from North Carolina, Danielle Seiberling, on her way to winning this heat. We'll see what her time is. Great battle for second. Lauren Jordan has made a heck of a charge late here trying to overhaul Borgerson. We'll see who gets second place.
Strong battle seems to be ensuing, and this is not one of those circle-seated heats just yet, but a strong battle in the middle of the pool. Two fastest swimmers in the pool are Kenny and Menzel right now, just by 1/10 of a second over Baker, with 28.57 being the fastest split in the pool at the 250.
When the swimmers finish this lap here, there will be 200 yards left in this race.
Now let's watch the back half swimmers as we saw in Heat 1. Let's watch the back half swimmers start to inch their way up.
All right, just a tremendous battle out in the middle pool, as Tony talked about, between Kenny, Baker, and Menzel, lanes 3, 4, and 5. Kenny from Virginia in lane 3 actually may have...
You know, with that fastest swimmer role here. Menzel, 28.49 is the fastest swimmer in the pool. Coming on strong over here in lane 6 as well as Gade from Georgia.
So Menzel out in lane 5, the junior from the University of Arkansas, with the lead now. She gets ready to complete her 4th 100 and have 100 yards left in this race.
Notice the leg activity now. Notice the girls saved the legs on for the swim. And notice Menzel kind of moved over to the left side of that lane, keeping her away from anybody that wanted to be drafting off of her on that back half of this swim. And Menzel starting to go at about a half a body length lead here.
That's all right. She's had a great back half swim. The battle right now is for second between Kenny of Virginia and Baker of UCLA as we have the bell, which rings. A 50 to go for these swimmers.
29.0 for Menzel. A lot of strong back halves here over there in lane 1. Harrison.
But as we come to the finish, it looks like it may be Nicole Menzel in lane 5 from Arkansas. See if she can hold off Kenny out in lane 2 from Virginia. And indeed, Nicole Menzel will take the win in the heat with a time of 4:43.97. That'll be the top time so far. Second place in the heat in lane 3 to Caroline Kenny with a time of 4:44.51. And in third place in the second heat, Lauren Baker from UCLA with a time of 4:45.03. Freshman from Tennessee, and in lane 8, Lauren Jordan, the sophomore from Arkansas.
And we called Lauren Jordan's name yesterday in the 500 freestyle. She lives up here in Carmel, Indiana, just north of Indianapolis.
Lane 6 is vacant, by the way, as Oliver will not swim the event for Florida State.
Former state champion Lauren Jordan, Indiana high school state champion.
Kelly mentioned in there for Texas A&M.
And that was accomplished in this very pool.
200 freestyle, strength, speed, strategy in the 200 free.
Look at Jordan out in lane 8 with a nice lap there. Has moved herself into second place, Tony.
Right now, 27.28 by Benjamin.
Lauren Jordan of Arkansas with 50 yards to go. And Lauren Jordan with our fastest time so far. Nice swim. 16:04.06. Rudolph, 16:09.22. Leneve, 16:10.65.
Could this be her first time under
Daniels in lane 3 from Arkansas here at the end, but some other swimmers closing as well. Who's going to take the win? It's going to be a bang-bang finish. Lane 3, Daniels from Arkansas. Nicole Daniels, the sophomore, takes the win, 59.11. That's your fastest time overall now.
Boy, those Arkansas parents, we see them just jumping up and down with that first place finish.
Second place in lane 4 to Laura Sogar from Texas with a time of 59.20. Third place in lane 1, Chelsea Sally was the early leader. She finishes third with a time of 59.30.
I think the gauntlet.
I'm going back to Indiana. Indiana, here I come. I'm going back to Indiana. That is where my baby, well, Hollywood, you got a lot of pretty things. I saw a lot of movie stars with diamond rings. But I ain't got my baby and I'm feeling wrong. And that's why I gotta sing this song. I'm going back to Indiana. Indiana, here I come. Oh, I'm going back to Indiana. 'cause that is where my baby is from.